So the Five Nights at Freddy's movie was a movie that was in development hell for about 9 years, and since it just released in cinemas, I went and watched the movie, and it was alright actually. I really wasn't expecting much out of this movie, but honestly, it kind of exceeded my expectations. There are some things that I really like about this movie, but there's some other things where, not so much. But a quick plot summary for the movie, it's about Mike as he's trying to take care of his sister Abby as he takes a new job as a night guard at Freddy Fazbear's Pizza after struggling to have a stable job. When working the job, he starts to realize that things are terribly wrong at Freddy Fazbear's Pizza, where he ends up getting to the bottom of what's really going on at the pizzeria. There are some details in this plot that kind of go nowhere that I want to get more into in my spoiler talk. I find it odd that Vanessa just drops everything to go and help Mike pretty much as soon as he gets to know him. Even though, yeah, sure, she's a police officer and she's meant to help people, but it gets to the point where it's beyond a cop's duty. I think that this alone should have set red flags off for Mike, but apparently it didn't. But whilst I'm talking about the characters, most of them are alright. I like Mike and Abby's relationship, and I think it's developed pretty well in the movie. I was very surprised with how much development Mike actually gets in this movie as well, with all the dream sequences, to even the potential lawsuit over the custody of Abby. I will say it's kind of bizarre to see Josh Hutcherson in a movie again, since I feel like I haven't seen him in anything since like Zathura, but hey, it's cool to see him again, and he does well. I will say that Matthew Lillard's absolutely the best part of this movie, even though he's barely in it. Like, it just leaves you wanting more of him. Also, Vanessa's just a living, walking plot dump. Like, literally every line she says is something about the plot, or a subplot, or what's happening, or something like that, and it's just kind of annoying. I feel like she doesn't have much of a character. Besides from the predictable twist at the end, but I'll get into that. There's some pacing issues with the movie, such as the start of the movie feeling quite fast-paced, especially for people that don't understand the series or don't really know anything about the series at all. I feel like it'd be a bit too fast-paced to catch on to what's going on. I will say, like, all the jump scares in this movie are pretty weak, even though there's not many of them, which is a big surprise, and hey, I will say the movie could have used more jump scares too, but the ones in this movie aren't good. One of them in particular made me laugh out loud. It was literally just the most random thing. I found it funny. The movie could have had a better balance with a bit more blood in the movie, because I feel like you're really lacking on what you're seeing with blood-wise. You only see like a couple of cuts on the main character throughout the movie, and you see like a handprint on the wall after a character gets killed by one of the animatronics. I know people think it's a pretty good balance with how much blood is shown compared to like implied and whatnot, but I feel like there's just not enough. Like, there's a couple of cuts on the main character, and then you see like a handprint on the wall when one of the characters is getting killed by an animatronic, and not really anything else, which is kind of disappointing. I wouldn't want too much blood, because I think this is the perfect rating for a movie like this where it does pander to a younger audience. But then again, there's a scene in this movie where something very violent happens, but there's like no blood. It's like on par with the Venom movies where you see people like people's heads ripped off and stuff like that, but there's no blood, and it's like, yeah, it's a little weird. With that too, I felt this movie could have been a bit scarier. They could have had more scary scenes. They could have had a bit more of a scene where, I guess, you could hand it a bit more to the audience where it's a bit more like the gameplay in the game, but build up a bit more suspense with the animatronics coming to kill the main character or killing characters and stuff. I feel like there isn't too much suspense on those characters, but the animatronics killing the characters in the movie don't really feel that much. One thing that's no surprise at all though is that the animatronics look fantastic. The Jim Henson Creature Shop has made the animatronics and they look spot on. They look fucking excellent. Another thing that looks really good too is the set design. The set design really encapsulates like an old Chuck E. Cheese style restaurant in an extremely, really well done way. Like, to every little detail in the restaurant looks excellent. Everything looks great. It's very impressive, all the little details and Easter eggs and everything that are in each of the sets. And hey, yeah, speaking as a fan, I recognize way too much of this shit. Okay, just wait a couple of days after this video is released. You will see like an hour-long video of like every Easter egg in Five Nights at Freddy's explained. I bet it'll happen. The CGI used in this movie though was pretty bad, especially when you see the cupcake jump at someone. It's laughably bad. A big surprise to me though is that the soundtrack is really solid. From the small themes like the twist reveal theme to even a song made for the animatronics on the show stage, it's really good. The cinematography in the movie's alright, there's nothing really special about it. It kind of just does the job for what it's meant to do in the movie, and it kind of just shows everything alright. Like, they could have had some pretty cool and interesting and impressive shots, but I don't feel like they really did much of that. They kind of just did what they needed to do, and that's fine. But hey, I honestly don't have anything else to say that isn't a spoiler, so I'm about to get into spoiler talk, so if you want to skip to this time code. You've been warned. Let's get into the spoiler talk in 3, 2, 1. First of all, with the small stuff. MatPat straight up lied to us. Like, he said he wasn't going to be in the FNAF movie. Next minute, he's in the FNAF movie. And hey, he's working at an Easter egg of a place, Sparky's Diner. You know, Sparky the dog, that old hoax? Yeah, he's working at that place, and he says half of his catchphrase at the end of his lines. He has a couple of lines in the movie, but he ends off with, hey, it's just a theory. Something like that. It was interesting. Also, the supposed other FNAF character that shows up in the movie is Balloon Boy, but as a toy, where Mike gets scared of the doll and turns it around. And it actually works as a cheeky little joke. But that's the thing. The director of the movie was teasing, like, oh, there might be another animatronic that shows up in the movie that people will be really excited about. But for it to just be a joke in the movie, it's kind of a little disappointing. I actually like seeing the kids take over the animatronics and actually acting like kids and doing kids activities, such as making a fort with Abby. I thought it was a nice little connecting moment where it's like, you actually can see that it's kids possessing the animatronics because they're acting like kids. Even though we do find out that it's just a ploy to try and make Abby one of them, where they want to kill her to make her possess an animatronic because of William's influence on the animatronics that makes them want to kill her, which that's another thing. That whole subplot makes no sense, but I'll get into it in a moment. The particular jump scare I was talking about in this movie was with the character Max, where she's being baited to go to Freddy Fazbear by a soul, like child. And when she gets in there, she gets bitten in half by Freddy's mouth, which is both over the top, but it doesn't show any blood at all. Which is what I mean with some of the things being on par with like the Venom movies, where you see like in the Venom movies, someone's head gets bitten off and there's no blood. But with this, literally someone gets bitten in half and there's no blood. It looks weird. I will say though, seeing their bodies stuffed into animatronic suits later on in the movie was a really cool and neat little touch. I liked that. The twist that William kidnapped Mike's brother was pretty predictable since they had to connect it to the main plot of the movie somehow, but I feel like it just goes nowhere in the end too. First off, it was extremely predictable, and I feel like it was just spoiled to me because when, Steve, obviously it's William Afton, when he is talking to Mike to find him a job, he reads Mike's name, and he's just like, and it kind of just spoils it where it's like, oh, I killed this guy's brother. I'm going to come up with a plan to fuck with him and eventually kill him. That's how I felt. It felt like it was just too predictable. I felt like I knew, like, okay, well, yep. Okay, William Afton killed his brother. Yep. Simple as that. Which is confirmed later in the movie anyways. Like, he literally says it. But with that, the subplot kind of goes nowhere, where I kind of expected Garrett to possess an animatronic or something like that. But no, it's just like William killed the kid, and then the kid's soul, who knows where it went. These other kids he killed, they went into the bloody animatronics because he stuffed them into the animatronics. So yeah, apparently William just killed Garrett, and then now he wants to finish the job by killing Mike, and then obviously spring-locking Abby so she gets possessed by an animatronic. I'm not really a fan of the robotic voice of the Spring Bonnie suit. Like, wouldn't you think it to be a bit more of like a family-friendly voice because it's like an animatronic suit for a kid's restaurant? As I said earlier, Matthew Lillard kills it in this movie. He literally steals the show, even with the little screen time he has. I love the ending where he gets spring-locked. I feel like it's just so satisfying as a FNAF fan, where he actually gets spring-locked and then the animatronics take him away. And I absolutely hope that he comes back as Springtrap in the sequel. Another extremely predictable thing is Vanessa being William Afton's daughter. Like, she already helps Mike way too much early in the movie, so you're really sus about her. And then eventually you connect the dots and it's like, okay, well, she's William Afton's daughter. Yeah, it was kind of obvious because it kind of explains why she's not really doing anything about the person that is the threat in this situation. Because, yeah, she doesn't want to try and stop her dad. Like, she feels like she's powerless to stop her dad because she can't go through with that mentally. Ending this movie is extremely satisfying as a FNAF fan, especially with William Afton saying, I always come back. Like, that's just spicy meatball. It's perfect for a FNAF fan. I'll be honest, the way they develop the spring locks is kind of forced, where it's just like they stumble upon an animatronic in a room and Mike's about to touch it and Investor's like, no, don't touch that. Blah, 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 blah. It's going to do this, it's going to do that. That's a spring lock. Oh, you're going to hurt yourself, blah, blah, blah. He explains the whole thing and it's like, oh, okay. Like, I get it. She's a living, walking plot dump and she explains everything. But yeah, it was just kind of a bit forced of a way to connect that to the ending of this movie, because I think FNAF fans would have got what was going on even without the development of the spring locks. But I guess for a movie fan, they probably just shoved it in there. They're like, For the movie fans to develop that ending, they're like, okay, we'll shove that little expose in the movie just to explain the ending for someone that's not into FNAF, which is a bit annoying. So with the spoiler talk over, I surprisingly enjoyed the FNAF movie. Now I feel like FNAF fans will love this movie since it's obvious that the creators of this film built it with love. Like, they really care about the franchise and wanted to make the best movie for the fans. It seems like critics really don't like this movie. I can get not liking it, but it's sitting around like 25% for the critic score, which is really harsh if you ask me. Even if you're not into the franchise, it's better than like a 2.5 out of 10. To be fair, it's Rotten Tomatoes. They totally haven't had bad critic scores before. No, not at all. What do you mean? Then again as well, the movie was basically just made for the fans of the franchise and apparently wasn't looking to try and bring in new fans, but instead catering towards the FNAF fandom. Personally, there's some things I'd rather be done better in the movie, but I'm glad that this movie wasn't an absolute dumpster fire. It's just a short, fun movie that you're not meant to take that seriously, and it's just a good popcorn flick. So the FNAF movie has to be at about a 6 out of 10 for me. Anyways, guys, if you enjoyed this video, make sure to give it a like. Let me know your thoughts on the FNAF movie if you've seen it down below in the comments as well. And let me know if you're excited to see the movie if you haven't yet. I hope you enjoy this kind of different style video. I might do more of it if I end up watching movies and posting it and you guys enjoying it. Then, hell yeah, I'll do it. Why not? Yep, subscribe, like, comment, do all that jazz. You know what to do. Anyways, I'm going to get into the shoutouts.
But, you know, it's just a theory.